Political correctness. Let's talk about it. What are some of the dangers of political correctness? Quick thing, I'm only 30, so take this with a giant, giant grain of salt. I don't know much about life. I haven't lived that long to have any level of authority in this space, but here's my 2 cents. Anyways, okay, what are some of the dangers of political correctness? I have some notes written down, so when I look down, that's what I'm doing. I'm reading. Okay, so in my opinion, uh, there one of the major dangers of political correctness is that you have no free thinking. Let me explain. I say no free thinking, not because each one of us really genuinely does not have the freedom to think, but most of us think through speech. And so the more that that speech is politically controlled, the harder that it becomes to be a genuine free thinker. And I say political correctness because you might have heard that the path to hell is paved by good intentions, and I'm not here to say that political correctness is or isn't a path to hell. I'm simply highlighting from where I'm standing at as a 30-year-old that doesn't know much about life yet. Here are some of the dangers that I'm noticing, and the lack of thinking freely enters the equation as one of the dangers if this thing is not put in check. The other point that I have written down here is that you have fear of expression. I mean, these two are kind of go hand in hand. So if you are afraid to think a certain way because it is political, again, this has nothing to do, at least in my mind, it has nothing to do with whether it is correct or incorrect to say certain things or to act in a certain way. I'm not addressing to the morality of correctness, right? Like correct is in being morally correct. The objectivity of what is right from what is wrong. That is not what I'm addressing at all. I'm addressing to political correctness. There is a political reason behind why certain words need to be said or said in a certain way, right? So if you control what is said, right, you control how people think, or you run the risk of controlling how people think and how people express themselves. So people start to be afraid of expressing certain opinions, even though, like I said, most of us we think out loud. And so when you are afraid to think out loud because what you might think might be incorrect, politically incorrect, that is a very dangerous place to be. And so, okay, fine. I think I've beat that horse to death. I'm gonna move on to my third point, which is there there is no limit to what can be banned, what can be politically incorrect, what can be labeled as politically incorrect. So let's say a few months from now, I decide that the word cupcake is just, it doesn't sit well with me anymore, right? If I find, I think you've probably heard the term of high cupcake or cute cupcake. I don't know. I'm just making this up. I don't. It might not actually be a thing. But if I decide, me and a relatively loud minority decide that the word cupcake is offensive to some degree, or it has come to mean something other than cupcakes, and I decide to politically weaponize that word in the sense that I want to control it so that, well, one, it can't be said, or there are political consequences, including, but and not limited to, imprisonment for using that word. There, there is no limit, right? And that is a relatively absurd example from where I'm standing at right now, because I don't see a future where the word cupcakes would be a politically incorrect word to say, but that is a danger of political correctness. Okay, I think you get my point. The last one that I have here is that if you are an individual that has the power or a group of individuals that has the power to dictate what is from what isn't. In this case, what is correct from what is not correct, in terms of speech, more specifically. That is too much power for any individual or any small group of individuals to have. And so, for whatever it's worth, right, whatever it is worth, the good intentions of political correctness, from my opinion, the good intentions of political correctness need to be kept in check because of these three or four different things that I mentioned here. Because yeah, if you are unable to freely think without the if you're unable to freely think without the fear that your thinking might be politically incorrect, because most of us, I already said this, but most of us think out loud. Most of us are not philosophers, or we don't study deeply uh, politics and policy, and so if there are political consequences, including imprisonment, for saying the wrong thing, we stop thinking freely. And one of the amazing benefits of being able to freely think and try to articulate what you're thinking, specifically knowing that you might offend someone or you might say something that is incorrect, that is the brilliance of free speech. I think you have to run the risk of saying something, knowing that it might be offensive to someone, um, as long as you're not infringing upon their freedoms and liberties. Oh my goodness. Okay, now I'm jumping into all kinds of different things, but you get the point. You get the point. These are some of the dangers that I think freedom. These are some of the dangers of political correctness if political correctness is not kept in check. Okay, I hope you got any value from this spiel of mine. My name is Moses, and I hope that you tune in into my next video. Until next time, peace.